You are tuned in to that praising station, praise.fm, where we get our praise on, 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Welcome, everybody. It is another episode of Under the Scope. I am your host, Kimbralon B. I love this show. I love today is Saturday. Everything's looking great. Everything is together. And as I have been posting, this is a double the fun Saturday. I almost said Sunday, y'all. I'm ahead of myself. I am excited that everyone is here today. And you're probably like, what is going on with her and why is she excited? But before I go on, let me introduce myself. Again, I am Kimbralon B. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Arizona. Been in the field for about 10 years, everyone, and I've worked with people from all walks of life. So a little bit about Under the Scope and how that came to be. Well, I could only do so much in the counseling room, right? And so I wanted to take a step out of the counseling room to spread the importance of mental health awareness. But guess what? I couldn't do it alone. So what I had to do, I had to find people from all walks of life to share their knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities, experience, whatever they could bring to the table. And most importantly, their contribution to mental health awareness. And that's how Under the Scope came about. So I could bring people here to this platform. So about Under the Scope. So Under the Scope isn't just Under the Scope because that's the name of the show and it's cute. Oh, no. Under the Scope is we bring the guest on, the guests come on here. They have the scripted questions, right? We dialogue, they answer the questions, they provide you the information. But guess what? This is a participatory show. You, Facebook Live, how y'all doing? Zoom Room, how y'all doing? Have an opportunity to ask our guests questions that are unscripted, and they have to be able to answer these questions off the cuff. So get ready, everyone. I want to intro this platform I'm on because I'm so grateful for it. Shout out to Praise FM Radio, right? So if you're joining me on Facebook Live, you're in the right place. This is an amazing platform to be on because there's music and shows 24/7, y'all. So if you haven't liked the page, like the page. If you haven't shared the show, share the show right now, right? You know, sharing is caring, right? So if someone feels you don't care about them, hit that share button. They'll know how much you care. All right. So a disclaimer about the show before we get started, because my guest is super excited. Any information Under the Scope is for conversational, educational, and inspirational, right? So it doesn't substitute you seeking a higher level of care. If you need to know anything or want any questions about resources, whether you're here in Arizona or in another state, please send me an email or send a message to the station and I'll get you connected to that information ASAP. All right, I think I've covered all of the preliminaries. We're going to start with the questions. Any questions you have, Facebook Live, start putting them in. Or as we go on, you can put them in at any time. At the end of the show, that's where we'll take our guests Under the Scope. All right, so now we got all the preliminaries out of the way. Let's get started. So last week, I had Dr. K on the show, and we talked about women and mental health. It was great, right? She blew it out of the water. But y'all know what? I wasn't going to leave the men out, right? Nah, not at all. So this week, it's the men's house. And so we're talking about men and mental health. And again, what did I say? I can't do it alone. So I had to think, and I was like, I know the perfect guest. And the perfect guest, and I'll have him introduce himself. Earlier this year, I went on his show. We had the best time talking. It was the best time. And not only was it fun, we had knowledge. And I think it was good because we was able to talk about mental health. We was able to talk about faith and mental health. We just covered everything. So I was like, you know what? That's the perfect person for my show. So today, my special guest is JaMarkus Lee. He's the owner of Inherit Branding and the podcast, Me, Myself, and My Podcast. Talented. I remember when I met him, when he came to the church, the family came to the church, and let me tell you, they came over with a wealth of talent and knowledge. Oh, yeah. And then he married my other family, that's what I'm talking about. And let me tell y'all, before I turn it over to him, what I remember from their wedding was when he said, what did you say, the ranch from my chicken wings? Is that
Yeah.
what you said about your, about
Yes,
your
the
wife?
ranch of my chicken wings.
Oh,
Yes.
that has stuck with me. And I'm like, oh yeah, he loved her. But not only is his love for his family, his love for the church, he has a love for the community. And we're going to hear more about what he's doing later. But today we're going to talk about his love for mental health and getting the word out about men and mental health. Without further ado, JaMarkus, I know I may have missed something. So will you please briefly introduce yourself?
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me on the show today. I love your platform and everything it stands for. Again, my name is JaMarkus. I host a podcast called Me, Myself, and Podcast, where we just talk about any and everything positive. I'm always the type to look at the glass half full. So that's what we do on that podcast. Like I said, I also have another business called Hair Branding, where we do banners, logos, shirts, anything you can print on. That's what we focus on. I have a lovely wife, Virginia. We actually just celebrated 5 years of marriage in March. So that is very exciting. I have two adorable kids, Graceland and Carter. They are just my world. They are my world. Right now, they're in the other room. I had to lock the door because when they see people, they just want to say hi. So I had to lock the door on them. But that's about me. I'm so excited to speak on this topic today. I think it's such an important topic and be able to expound on it for people. I think it's going to be great.
All right, good. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We're getting ready to move this train out of the station. I want to open up with a quote and then I'll ask you the question. Although both men and women are affected by mental illness, it is sometimes often overlooked in males. The overall prevalence of mental illness in men is typically lower, right? But however, mental health among men often goes untreated because they are far less likely to seek mental health treatment than women. Depression and suicide are ranked as the leading cause of death amongst men. 6 million men are affected by depression in the US every single year. Men die by suicide at the rate of 4 times higher than women, which I found this to be interesting. But I wanted to bring this topic here because off the cuff, we could probably guess like, oh, well, these numbers are probably high because no one goes to see. But I want us to actually explore, JaMarkus. So before we get started, I ask every guest that comes on Under the Scope, what is your definition of mental health?
My definition of mental health is the freedom of being yourself spiritually and realistically, in real time. I say this because the mind is so hard to comprehend. Everyone has a different mindset. So being able to live in your own vein, in your own way, with being happy with yourself and the people around you, to me, that is what mental health is about. That's what I think everyone should be wanting to achieve.
Exactly. I like what you said about freedom because really mental illness is sort of a bondage. And sometimes if we have to learn how to navigate through it. You know, whether it's going to therapy, some people may need medication. Some people may be able to utilize their faith or be able to talk to their support system. But we have to be able to identify those things that'll get us to that place of freedom. So my question for you next is, what are some of the common factors, in your opinion, that impacts men's mental health?
So I think what impacts it is the way that society thinks of men. They think of men as being big and bold. They think of them as a tree stump. They can't be moved. They're holding all the limbs. They're holding all the leaves. And all they're supposed to do is just stand there and be okay with everything. So from that, men, it's like, okay, if this is what the world wants me to be, I can't show any signs of weakness. I can't show that I'm leaning this way or leaning that way because society will perceive me as being weak. So now it's like trying to change the narrative. Like, no, you can have feelings. You can, if you don't want to be a tree stump today, you can be a branch and just go with the wind on how you feeling. You don't have to hold up all the leaves. You know, trees do fall down, but you can always replant them and regrow. So I think that is probably one of the biggest things, the way that society perceives men and how they see men as being the strong and the vocal point. Yes, we are, but men have feelings too. You know, I personally think that men are more emotional than women, but they have a way harder time of actually showing.
Wow, that's deep. I want to actually just piggyback on that. When I was doing some research from the show, there's other things I think, you talked about the biggest one. And when you talking about that man being that stump, yes. Other factors that came to my mind where we talk about employment issues. If something happens with the job, lose a job, or, having to take a job that's, I guess, less wage than their
Mm-hmm.
mate or something like that. Family issues,
Yep.
marriage, divorce, any type of transitions can actually take its toll. Whether it's good, bad, or, complicated, it can still take its toll. uh, Men who actually experience trauma probably during their childhood or even in relationships with other, a bad breakup or something that can impact mental health also. And even being a parent, even
Yes,
having to
definitely.
navigate that, is really hard. It things that can affect a man's mental health. So me going over those, did any of those like stick out to you, or would you like to elaborate on any of those areas?
Yeah, definitely the employment. So being transparent, maybe about a year ago, I lost my job. And it was a high paying job. It was very good. So I ended up having to I was jobless for, let's say, about 2 months. So it was really my wife taking care of our family. And for me, it's like, wow, this is the opposite of what, the world is supposed to be doing right now. I'm supposed to be taking care of, she's supposed to be sitting at home, but now I'm sitting at home looking for a job and she's still working for that. And that played with my mind a lot, because like, dang, am I really a man? Because, I'm still trying to look for a job and she's still holding it down. But what I came to realize was, one of the things that I think that we have to get rid of is, when someone marries someone, I believe that every person should already have their own way of building. They should already have their own self-worth. If you're marrying somebody just to take care of them, it's not going to work out. Each person should be stable by themselves. When you get married, you should be able to build together. You shouldn't have to just lean on somebody, like marry them because you got to take care of them. So I love the fact that my wife was such a strong woman at that point to be able to still take care of us and still take care of the household. She was still doing stuff with the kids. She was still being lovely. She never talked down to me. She never threw it in my face. We went on like life was normal. And then now that I got a second job, now I got another job, she still makes more money than me. But it's nothing that never like came in our conversation, never came into arguments, nothing like that. She still treats me as the same man that she treats me when I married. And I love her for that. And I wish that more couples would do that. That when you're marrying someone, build together. Don't just go to them so they can support you, but build together. Like, see, like, how can we do this together?
I really like what you said, especially the part where you said when it's the cells joining together. That is key. Fun fact with therapy, anybody that gets in therapy, I know when they're having problems with their spouse, their partner, or whoever, the first thing they want to do, couples therapy. And I was like, you may want to start with individual therapy. Well, I'm not the problem. This is the problem because of A, B, and C, and he or she does this, this, and this. And it's like, no, you will be surprised doing that self-inventory, that individual therapy will actually help you discover some things also about yourself. Or
Yeah,
if,
definitely. Yeah, because I did counseling myself. And my wife has suggested I go to counseling. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to counseling, let's do counseling together. And she's like, no, take your time and go do counseling. And that was probably one of the best advice she gave me, because during my counseling sessions, I found out more about myself than what I knew about myself. And probably things my wife already knew about me, but was just waiting for me to discover it. And I feel that going through those counseling sessions helped me be a better man, helped me be a better husband, helped me be a better father, because I was able to deal with stuff that was just affecting me to better my marriage. I like how when you do counseling by yourself, it's you unloading your baggage on your counselor, not you unloading your baggage on your spouse.
Yeah.
So it's like when I come back to her, it's like, hey, let's debrief on what I went through, but I'm just telling you so you can know, not for me to throw the baggage on you for you to carry, plus your baggage as well. And I love that about counseling.
I do too. I have to agree. So couples therapists won't come after me. So I'm not saying that couple therapy is not a good thing, but I think it should be suggested that they do individual counseling, like you said, to just work on that baggage and throw that baggage out. And then when you come together for couples therapy, it's like, how can we proceed on from here? I've done my work. Now let's figure out how we can navigate this together. I just wanted to throw that in so I won't get those virtual tomatoes thrown at me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because I know I mentioned depression and suicide. What are some of the common mental health challenges do you think that men are susceptible to experiencing?
I think a main one is when it comes to finances, financial. I call it financial depression. It's when that you think that you don't make enough or know enough for you to actually sustain a life with your wife or with your partner. I think that plays a key role, and something that I had to get over. I had to get over it, because when me and my wife first got together, the thing was, in the beginning, I made the money, but she had the credit. So it's like every time we did something, we had to do it together for that. But then it switched, and then now it's like, oh, she has like the credit and the money, and now I just have I'm building my credit and she has the money. So going through those different phases of building myself personally up and doing what I need to do to get myself together, to present myself as a better man and a better husband for my wife, I think that plays a key role. And the other one, I think, is emotional support. A lot of men right now, they don't have, I would say, their core group of friends, or even one or two persons that they can actually, when they're going through something, talk to someone about it, where they don't feel chastised, where they don't feel like they're going to, they tell them and then they're going to be out in the world in the next 2 minutes for that. And also, for me, definitely being a Christian man is also having spiritualness with your father and with Christ, and actually praying through it. Because what I found out, if you don't have that relationship, it's going to be hard for you to conquer your mental health at all. Because, some stuff you can't unload on people. Some stuff only God can take care of, only God can do, only God can deal with you with. So when you have those two combined, when you have your emotional support plus your spiritual support with your father in Christ, it's like they can all come together. But you really need those two so you can lean on either side, which way you're going, to help you get through them.
All right, awesome. Put you on the spot real fast along those lines, because I know you mentioned the depression. Do you think it's possible for men to have anxiety or to suffer from PTSD based on a past trauma that they may have experienced in their life, whether it was military or maybe something in the childhood?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that you can have the PTSD and depression. I think a lot of PTSD from men start in their childhood. Whether it's the house they grew up in, whether they went through either seeing domestic violence displayed by either parent, or either emotional domestic violence, or even when it comes to either being touched inappropriately, being talked to down. Because what I've noticed growing up is a lot of women will come forward in the end saying, that they were touched inappropriately when they were little, but you don't hear about men saying that. Because it's like, if I say that as a man, then I'm discrediting myself as a man. And I think once you can actually, bring that up and actually talk through it and be able to have that self-confidence in yourself, like, I can talk through this, get through this, and still be my own man, will definitely help you with suffering from that PTSD.
All right, awesome. So before we go on break, I have one more question for you. Because you were talking about those stigmas, and I always like to talk about the stigma piece, but Mental health, particularly amongst men, has gained momentum because it's like they like to label it as that other silent killer, right? Um, can you elaborate on more of the stigmas or other reasons you think that mental health could be that other silent killer for men?
Yeah, I think because again, they don't have that circle, or they're not really confident within themselves to actually go and seek help, because society says you're a man, you know, rub some dirt on it and get over it. You don't really have that. There's a lot of resources. You see different groups for women on support and stuff like that, but you don't see it on the men's side because society says, men, you're fine. You know, like something happens to you, you know, you'll go to bed and you'll wake up and do it. So I think what a lot of men now actually like, dang, I do have some issues that I need to resolve, and actually becoming more comfortable with themselves is bringing greater light to the issue of depression, because now it's like, dang, I kind of suffered through this too, you know, maybe not in the same way, but I feel, you know, sad all the time, or I feel depressed all the time, or I feel like, you know, I'm not worth it. And now that we're, you know, circles are coming together, like this is okay to talk about. It's okay to be a man and be sad too. It's okay to be a man and have feelings too. You know, regardless of what society says, me as a person, and especially you as a counselor, we're going to see you as a man regardless. You know, society doesn't dictate, your feelings don't dictate if you're a man or not. You know, that's all within you and building that self-confidence.
Definitely true. Definitely true. I was just thinking, right? I said this is a bonus question before we go on break. Was it easy for you to go to therapy, even with your wife encouraging you? Was it easy?
No, it was not. It was not easy at all, because I didn't think I needed it. I think I'm fine. You know, I thought I was fine. My wife, it took me, I think I put it off for maybe 2 months before my wife was like, all right, yeah, like you really need to go. Like, it's almost like an ultimatum, like you need to go and handle yourself, you know, like to go do this. And I was like, I still didn't want to go. I'm like, I don't need to go, but I mean, I guess, you know, happy wife, happy life. You didn't ask me 2 months, now let me go. And it changed my life. I love her even more for pushing me out of my comfort zone, because to me, again, I'm thinking, I'm a man, you know, therapy. You can go to therapy, or we can go to couples therapy, but me, myself, what do I need to talk about? You know, I'm fine. But again, talking to that therapist and having them, and what I figured out as well is with therapy, is it wasn't even so much of her asking the questions. It was just like, she has one question and it, out of nowhere, I'm just blah, 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 just spilling everything out, just talking. And I'm like, dang, I kind of feel better after this, you know, not even knowing that I'm like, you know, expressing myself. So it was a phenomenal time for me during that session when I had the counseling. And I definitely would recommend it to any man. Even if you have not gone and you don't think you need it, you need it. You know, like, don't be like me and wait all this time to do it, because to think of where I could have been if I would have started this earlier and not waited so long and put it off so long, my marriage would have been better. I would have been a better father. I would have been a better man for it. So I love her even more for pushing me to do it, even though I was reluctant. Even the first day, I was like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I needed that. I felt like I took his load off.
Awesome. So we're coming to our break. Thanks everybody for hanging with us, right? Before we go to break, I just want to shout out the station again. I mentioned earlier that it's 24/7 music and shows. I was saying last week, I don't even watch regular television anymore, or a lot of streaming channels. I can go here. It's a show on every night that I can watch. So, I mean, I grab my popcorn and tune in to Praise FM. But guess what? Even though we have a show every night, there's still room at this table if you are interested in doing a show. And if you are, come on in. Remember back in the day, sitting at the big table, we'll squeeze a chair in, you may get that corner part, can't put your legs under the table because the table legs there, but then you still had room at the table. If you're interested in doing the show right here on Praise FM Radio, please message the station or send me a message so I can get you connected. But if you're like, oh, I'm not ready to do that yet, don't fear. you can actually sponsor a show. We would love for you to sponsor a show also as well. This show, as well as any other show or any other shows, because this station is doing something unique. We're Stella nominated and we made it that way for a reason. And we are expanding, everyone. So you better get aboard while you can. All right. So we'll be back in 2 minutes or so after the break. It's not too late to share. Make sure you share. If you wanted to check out the show before you share, now you go share, and dare your friend to share. Dare to share, right? And so we'll be back here at Under the Scope. I'm your host, Kimbralon B, and I'm sitting here talking to JaMarkus Lee. We haven't gone under the scope yet. Come back.
Have you ever wanted to host your own inspirational radio show? Have you been called to inspire and spread God's word? Please contact Alicia Rain for more info.
Thank everybody for coming into the show.
Are you the next great independent artist? But you're looking for a distribution opportunity? Well, sign with us at Praise.fm Music Distribution. Yes, the 2021 Stellar Award nominated Praise.fm can handle it all. We understand the narrow road leading to getting your music heard at the right time at the right place can be tough. So send your music and video files to fmpraise@gmail.com. That's fmprayz@gmail.com. Praise.fm Music Distribution, affiliated with Sony Music and the Orchard Distributors.
I could be on top of the world again. Just hold on to his unchanging hand. Be a part of the plan that he laid out. Live life up till it fade out. Fading, fading, fading away. Fading, fading, fading away. Give me 5 words with a meaning. Over 10,000 tongues when it sound like screaming. Scenes from the nightlife, whole team glimmering the keys. Both room and a whip for the evening. Midnight air when I breathed in. Feel the devil's breath on my neck like he leaned in. Got her too high, hit a tailspin. Want nobody in the pit with me when I fell in. Caught a L then, jailed in.
Hey, Praise family, meet service disabled Navy veteran Howard Martell. He's a Christian, family man, and business owner of Howard Superstore. Howard, tell us more about the store.
Some of our top sellers include Gen Mink. It's 100% pure mink oil and provides exactly what your skin needs. Gen Java Gourmet Arabica CBD coffee with an unbelievably good taste. Jenny's Roll-On Pain Relief. Gen Health, which supports a healthy immune system. Ultimate Keto, Ultimate Body Formula. Gen Pet Max, Total Pet Health for cats and dogs. And Gen Ties, Clean Hands. We're also super enthused to bring Gen Energy to the consumers. This is a power factor correction unit installed in your home or business, and it absolutely helps reduce high energy bills from power companies.
Learn more about these amazing products. Visit howardsuperstore.com. That's howardsuperstore.com.
Shop Soulful Touch Roses for your personally designed rose at soulfulgifts.etsy.com.
There is an exciting new book out named Transition by author Crystal Sauls. This book talks about her changes from childhood to adulthood and other things that happened in her life. This book is also a testament that anyone can turn a negative life into a great life. Transition has recently become a bestseller on Amazon. You will find exciting and realistic reviews about this best-selling book. So, visit thetransitionbook.com and order your autographed copy of Transition today.
Unique Sounds Music Group presents a music fest on Carnival Freedom, January 26th through the 30th, 2023. sailing from Orlando, Florida to Nassau and Princess Cay, Bahamas. Reserve your spot today with just $25 by contacting booking at uniquesounds.com.
Attention! Music Fest has opened its doors of opportunity for a short period of time to musical talents to perform. For more information about participating in the Music Fest shows, please contact Let's Connect at A2ZChristlife.com or www.praise.fm.
What's going on, gentlemen?
First Kingdom Records is going broke.
Redeeming Records reached out and...
You think I'd license my song to Caesar?
Mom, if we don't expand gospel, we'll end up irrelevant. I'm in charge of A&R. I scout talent.
You're in charge because I put you in charge.
Give it up for my wife, the queen of gospel music. I've been asked to hold a memorial for the Williams girl.
The dead stripper?
Danny loved music. Can someone explain the purpose for the pain? Deliver us, oh Lord.
Deliver me, don't cast me down with the sinner be. Trample my enemies.
This girl work here? I just want to talk.
So talk.
Can we stop, please? You have a God-given gift.
You looking at it?
You have over 2 million hits. She's everything Kingdom needs. She can reach people that you never could.
You set me up?
You and my mom got history, but she's a star, right? Or am I crazy?
Crazy like I was the first time I heard your mother sing.
You know who I am, and I can't change that.
I don't care where you come from, only where you're going. Your reign is over.
Is that a declaration of war?
Welcome back, everyone, to Under the Scope. I'm your host, Kimbralon B, and I'm here today with our special guest, JaMarkus Lee, and we're talking about the topic of men and mental health. So if you missed the first half and you just now joining us, hello, you're not too late to get in, hear some more information, and also ask JaMarkus questions when we take him under the scope. So just the first half, we just talked about some of the statistics that are out there that depression and suicide are some of the leading causes of death and mental illness in men. And we just covered that information, and we talked about how different transitions that you may not even think about from something on your job or even families, married, divorced, parenthood can impact men's mental health. So we covered that. So if you missed that, just catch the replay. Before we move on and ask JaMarkus more questions, I want to give you a very special announcement. Today, everyone, at 5:30 p.m. AZ time, I almost said right here on Praise FM, the Fisher Girls. Look, if you haven't heard of them, they are amazing. They have the song Narrow Way. They have lots of songs, right? I sing their song away from them because I don't want them hearing me singing their song because they'll probably be like, don't do that anymore. But today is their video release for Narrow Way. Again, it's at 5:30 p.m. Arizona time. And if you want to be at that video release, and you do, as you should, please go to Eventbrite and register, and you'll find them by searching Narrow Way. And what's so special about this video release is that this video was produced by our very own Dr. Lady Rain, right here, the producer of Praise FM. So again, register, you're not too late, and you can get in to see this video release. All right. jumping back into the show, JaMarkus, you ready? Because I have just a few more questions before
Yes,
you go
ma'am.
under the scope, okay? No pressure. All right, so my next question, because I know we were talking a little bit about the stigmas, how you expect it to be, the man, or, not show emotions and just be able to get through. And I like how you talked about being that stump for your family, and that sometimes you may have to be that branch, and then that support may come from a loved one. And in your case, you said your lovely spouse, so I was thinking about all of that. So I want to dig a little bit deeper, because I know it's almost time for us to go under the scope. What are some of the stigmas and or barriers you believe that Black men experience that prevent them from taking care of their mental health?
Wow. So that's a loaded question. So my biggest one that I think is family, because growing up in a Black household, especially, it was what happens in our house stays in our house. Which you hear that so many times, it's like, dang, if I'm going through something or something happens that, I only can deal with it within these four walls. I'm not allowed to let other people see my emotions. I'm not let other people see that I just had an argument with somebody, or that I'm sad, that I'm upset. I think that, and also there is a lack of understanding in our community for what mental health is. I know before I really got into mental health and what it was, to me, I always thought it was like a handicap to someone. I thought it was, if you're mental ill, then you're like somewhere like, in a straitjacket, and then like a home or something like that. That's what I perceived mental health to be. I was very, ignorant in actually what it was. And then when I finally, did some research, like, oh, this is what it is, this is what the symptoms are, this is what you experience. That's when it really like clicked, like, oh, dang, this is something that's like not just for women, not just for kids, not just for even, other races. Like, this is actually something that pertains to everybody. It doesn't see race, it doesn't see color, it doesn't see age. It can really hit you at any point in time. And then lastly, I think it is the support for it. There is support for it, but it's not as big as I think it should be, for it. You really have to do maybe 3 or 4 Google searches to find some support in actually what you're dealing with. But if it was something else random, then you search it, and it's like you immediately have different opportunities for that. But if you really search up mental health and how to get over, how to get through it, it doesn't really give you positive stuff about it. It always gives you the negative, like something's wrong with you, or that it's something that you're doing, something like that. There's really no positive outlook on it. So then it hinders you from like, I really don't want to do this, just based on, what I've searched, what my family says, and what society says. Like, I'm good, I can just do this on my own.
Yeah, definitely true. While I was listening, it's so much. Like you said, especially with family. And I think the lack of education in our community, us having to break those, I call them generational stigmas, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know we talk about it. Everyone talks about it a lot. Like what goes on in this house stays in our house. But it's like a majority of us know, like, this is what's held us back, but it's still holding some of us back.
It's still,
even
though we know. Back. Mm-hmm. We talk about it. It's like we talk about it and we talk about it and we talk about it. But where's the action for it? Like, what are you doing to get over this? The Bible says faith without works is dead. What work are you doing to get over this? You can't just keep saying you want to change and you want to be better and you want to get out of this funk that you're in without applying different steps or seeking different, advice from people, or doing whatever you need to do that you feel comfortable with to get over what you're actually going through. That's why I love your platform, because it's open to everybody. There's almost 70 people watching this. That's 70 different outlets that someone can reach out and attach to and say, hey, what can I do to be better about mental health, and what can I do to get myself better?
Exactly. And yeah, I'm grateful for the platform as well. Thanking God for even dropping that idea inside of me and using me. But I wanted to say one more thing before I ask you the last question, before you go under the scope. Like you said, with mental health, when you were talking about that, I said it's so easy. I said this last week too. if for our physical health, we can say, oh, I got a headache, oh, I need to lose weight, or oh, my stomach hurt, whatever. We just say those things. And it's like, we just say with the medication, we're going to take it, just flows so easy. But it's such a challenge for us to say, I am feeling a little sad, or I'm feeling really sad. We minimize it because we don't want to deal with it. And us minimizing it, unfortunately, it doesn't go away. It's like sitting there waiting like, you thought you got rid of me, but I'm here, and you mix that in with trauma, regardless of what traumatic experience. And I know you had mentioned earlier about childhood. I even think, again, I think I said this on your platform as well. Yeah, childhood, but if some people like, well, that wasn't me. I had the Brady Bunch life, which is great. If you did, awesome. But okay, we'll just go to the pandemic then, because that's something everybody experienced, and we had to learn how to navigate differently. It wasn't the best. I don't know about anybody else, but this was hard trying to navigate through, to know that I had to stop, couldn't go here, couldn't go around my loved ones, couldn't go to the store. Everything we used to changed. And all the numbers went up, whether it was suicide, unfortunately, whether it was domestic violence, all of these things went up around us during that time. So it took, if we started feeling a little more sad or much more grouchier, probably more argumentative with our spouse or any other household members, let me tell you, you were experiencing some mental health challenges. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people can bounce back from it. Sometimes it's like, whoa, I feel like I'm at the point of no return. And this is where I may have to plug in and just learn those tools on how to navigate through. So this is the last question I'm going to ask you before you go under the scope. Facebook Live, if there's any questions you may have for JaMarkus, put those in now. Questions, comments, Zoom room, same invitation to you. I know it's been really quiet. Hopefully it's the men out there that's getting something. If you want to share, and if you don't want to share from the standpoint that it's you, say, I know a friend or something like that, just put it out there. Again, this is a no shame, no judgment platform. This is why I'm bringing it outside of the counseling room, because we want to debunk these stigmas and let everybody know that it's okay not to be okay. So JaMarkus, knowing some of the things that we talked about, again, this is your opinion. What are some of the ways you think that we can close the gap on reducing the stigma and the importance of men to take care of their mental health?
Well, I think it's going to start with platforms like this, where there's an open dialogue, there's an open forum, there's a no judgment, where we could talk about this in the medical sense, not on personal preference, not on how you grew up or how you feel about it, but there's an actual, preference from it. The other way I think that you can deal with it is seeking out in your local area some therapists. Just type in like therapist. I know for me personally, I have no stigmas or no such thing as race, but I wanted a Black therapist because I feel like, there's a chance that she probably went through some of the stuff, or he went through some of the stuff in their childhood, just like I did. So they can relate to me better, So when I tell them that my mom would be like, I'm gonna beat the black off you, they know that's what I'm just gonna get a whooping, not that she's gonna kill me, nothing like that, Like, it's just more relatable to that. I really think those two things help a lot. And to piggyback on what you were saying before, when you were saying that, people have no problem taking pills for when they have something wrong with them, a headache or something like that. But when it comes to mental health, no one wants to talk about taking pills. It's like, oh, you take pills? Oh, you must be really crazy. Something wrong with that. Like, no, I just feel down. And the way I compare it is, this is how I think. If you're suffering from emotions and you're not seeking help, or if you have medication and you're not taking it, you're just as bad as someone who's doing the medication and mixing it with alcohol. There's no good outcome for that. There's no good outcome from that. There's no shame in taking the medicine that you need to help you get through your life better. If you're already down, why suffer even more just because of what people think about you? It's like at some point in time, you have to stand up and want better for yourself. No one else can want better for you. Yes, I can be your brother, I can be your friend, I can be everything to you, but until you want better for yourself and want to seek help for yourself, I can guide you to the door I can even open it for you, but it's your choice for you to step in, for that. It's up to you to be like, enough is enough. Now it's time for me to actually seek help. I'm tired of dealing with this. What can I do to make myself better?
Exactly. So JaMarkus answered that. You have to be willing to close the gap and overcome and know that it's things out there and there's tools out there. Honestly, go with your preferences. So we're getting ready to take you under the scope, but know that you can go with your preferences. It's okay to ask for a Black therapist, male, female, however you prefer, whatever your preferences look like, because you have to create that safe space for you. And I said this on JaMarkus's podcast, and I meant it. If you don't feel like you click or you vibe with that person, you can fire your therapist. Just know. But now, if they're calling you out on your stuff, then you may want to stay with them. But if it's somebody you don't feel safe to open up with, then, it's okay to fire them. So JaMarkus, we getting ready to take you under the scope now. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready. And just to piggyback on what you said with finding a therapist, on your side, and also you have to be able to be truthful with your therapist.
Yes.
And actually show them everything and tell them everything. The one thing I like about therapists is that when you first meet them, they don't know nothing about you. So they only know what you tell them. So if you decide to be around the bush, you only tell them a little bit here, a little bit there, you can't expect to make progress or anything like that, because you're not being your authentic self. The great thing about therapists, they don't know you. You don't know them. They only know what you tell them. So why not come out and tell them everything? Be yourself in front of someone that has no idea about you.
Exactly. And they can't tell your business. Those that don't know, they can't tell your business. So just know. Yeah. All right. Your business is in a safe space. That's what makes it a safe space. So, all right, you getting ready to go under the scope. So I have a comment that was for you, probably by somebody that you know. Virginia Lee. Does that ring a bell? No.
Oh yeah, that's my high school sweetheart.
I like what Virginia said, and Virginia's so amazing, but she just said we had the conversation before we even got married to make sure that we could support this marriage and that we could eventually support a family. We had a conversation no one wants to have. We had a conversation no one wants to have, then dating, LOL. We spoke in bills and debt.
Oh yeah.
And that was nice to know, even having that conversation. I was glad that Virginia actually shared that, because you do got to have that conversation no matter how much you're in love. You want to continue to be in love, right?
You do. And those were some tough conversations. When I say they were some really tough conversations, because, one thing about me and Virginia is we grew up two different completely lifestyles, but I love the way we grew up. So I remember, I always tell this story to people. We were going to look for her a car. And to me growing, I'm like, oh, you get in a car, just get something that got 4 wheels, it got 6 windows and the air run. That's all you need. Get you from point A to point B. But Virginia was a very particular person. She's like, no, I want a Dodge Charger. I would need it to be really nice. And I'm not like, gonna take, no for an answer. So then I go to the car lot with her and her dad, and just seeing it, I'm like, dang, she really knows what she wants. Like, they showed her these nice cars. Like, it was like a little Altima, a little Ford Focus. I'm like, hey, it gets you up there, it's just the beginning. And she's like, nah, I don't want that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, these are great cars. She's like, nah, I don't want that. And I remember I went back home to my mom, like, Mom, I don't know if I can actually marry this girl. I'm like, these are great stuff for you to like go ahead and do and to take. Like, why don't you take it? But in the end, I ended up loving it about her because she knew exactly what she wanted, and she wasn't going to settle for less. And all this time I've known her and I'm married, that's exactly the way she is. So 2 days later, she walked up the lot with her black Charger and drove off the lot with the payment she wanted and everything. And I'm like, it took all this. I'm like, we could have been done with for this. But having those conversations, like, it helps a lot, because it's like, we talk about debt, we talk about our finances, because, when you get married, my debt become your debt. You know, my baggage becomes your baggage. So it's like, before we like get this, let's make sure that, you know, financially we can actually do this, because there's no sense in us getting together and we still can't even climb out of the hole that we in by ourselves, you know, like for that. So I've learned that we had those conversations. I think it helped us a lot, because when we were first dating, you know, either I'd be at her house or she'd be at my house with my mom. Because when I first met Virginia, I was a homebody. I didn't like spending money. I wanted to be home. Like, if you said you want to go somewhere, I'm like, you can come over, you can watch Avatar, you know, we could just sit and do something. But she's like, no, let's go out. And I'm like, dang, I spend money again? I'm like, what is going on? But she really taught me how to live life to the fullest but still living within your means. Because to me, all I know was I wanted to save money. I wanted to, you know, have my kids have a better childhood, you know, than what I had. I had a great childhood. And I'm like, I only want them to be faster than what I got in my life. You know, mistakes I made, I want to be able to tell them before they make those mistakes. So having those conversations, it really set us up for success, because without it, you know, we probably still would be having the same arguments about money. And even after we got through those conversations and got married, we were still having those same conversations after we got married, building on those conversations, you know.
Nice.
And it helped a lot. The one thing I loved about is that we had open communication, you know, forward, and what we were struggling with, either finance wise or emotional wise. Because Virginia would tell you, in the beginning of our marriage, I was the one, you know, telling her all my emotions, how I felt. And she'd be like, dang, you got so many emotions. I'm like, no, I need to get them out, you know. I need to tell somebody this. You know, like every other day, I'd be like, you know, hey, I'm going through this. I just want to talk about this. She's like, hey, you want to talk again? Because I mean, man, I see it. But being able to have that dynamic with her has been awesome. And to have that open communication has just been great.
Awesome. Next question for you. Virginia taught you balling on the budget. All right. Next question is briefly, like, what other activities do you do for your mental health?
For my mental health, music has always been my escape. I think music utters the words that we cannot say. I love just getting lost in music and different stuff like that. Also, now that I have kids, they are my joy. They have helped my life so much, more than I even thought I needed help in my life. They keep me distracted a lot. And in a good way. It's just looking at them, it's like I see myself in them, I see Virginia in them, and I just see the love in their smiles, in their laughs. My son Carter wakes up every morning with a smile or a laugh in his face, and he immediately wants to play, he immediately wants to climb over you. And just seeing the joy in that, it's like, dang, like, no matter what I'm going through, I can still see that, like, there's still some joy in this world. There's still life in this world. So being able to have that backbone in that has just been crazy, and it's just been really, really good. And also what we did as well is taking some time for yourself. Having a self-care day. You know, we talk about it a lot. You know, for me, self-care day is I don't do nothing. I just sit, you know. I just sit. My wife, she'll take her and the kids to her mother-in-law's house, so they'll go do something, and I will just sit. I'll have no care in the world. I'll give me a bag of chips, and I'll just sit on the couch and just be fine. I'll have the air all the way on low. I'll have all my fans on, because Virginia don't like when I have the fans and air on. You know, I'm just in my own space. And really having that time for myself, for self-reflection. Like, it's okay to pamper yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself, and learning the meaning of how to say no to people. I'm in the season of my life where I just don't mind saying no to people. I don't have the capacity to deal with it. I don't have the capacity to do it. So my no's and my self-care have been very relevant in this season of life that I'm in.
Awesome. One more quick question before we close. So I want to know where we can find you, but I also want you to talk about what's going down this evening, because that's one of the questions for Under the Scope. So where we can find you briefly, talk about the event that you're having, and how did you come up with the event, and do it in about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. So real quick. So tonight, guys, I am throwing my first live gospel concert. It's called Pursuit. #Bring the choir back. Growing up in church, the choir was up every Sunday, singing, tearing the house down. And now in this new age that we're in, you don't really see the choir a lot. You see the praise team, but you don't see the choir a lot. And I missed it. I'm like, we got to bring this back. Like, bring the choirs back. It was such a momentum and such a place of praise that, only a choir can do. And I'm like, we got to do this event. And I'm like, I got to do it live because I know people want this. I'm not the only one that can't want this. And I prayed and I was like, Dad, what can I do? And I'm like, I'm throw a concert. And I've never done a concert in my life. I don't even sing. I don't even sing at all. So I reached out to a couple of my friends. I'm like, hey, let's do this. And then the word got spreaded and we ended up putting this choir together. And now we have this concert going. It's tonight at 6:00. Doors open at 5:30. It's at the Sanctuary Phoenix. I am completely ecstatic by the support that has been this. We completely sold out of tickets, but if you come, we will not turn you away. Get there early. It's probably going to be standing room only. The choir's ready. The band's ready. It's going to be a great time. I'm super excited. You can find me on my Facebook, Me, Myself, and Podcast. We're also on YouTube, Me, Myself, and Podcast. We're on Instagram as JaMarkus Lee. I'm always doing something. I really am always doing something. I'm always starting to plan my next project, and this one hasn't even finished yet. So I'm always planning something. I am always ready to go. I'm just crazy. I love God and I love my family, and I love life. I love the life I'm in right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JaMarkus, for coming to Under the Scope. I appreciate you coming here, sharing your knowledge about men and mental health. So hopefully someone can, glean from that. If they have any questions, if they want to reach out to you, they can send me a message, send it to Praise FM, and I can get that information to you. Any information about therapy resources, please send it to me. Again, I'm bound by confidentiality, even though I am not your therapist. And just like that, everyone, another Saturday Under the Scope is down in the books. We'll be back next week. And this time, I haven't even told the producer that I really want to do a double header on the show. I want to bring on 2 guests next week. So I'm pretty excited about that, but we'll be right here, everyone. Do something for self-care. If you're in Phoenix, come out tonight to the Sanctuary Phoenix, right? So
yes,
we can bring that choir back. I may even try to, shoot my shot if I can and sneak on the mic. All right, everyone. So I am your host, Kimbralon B. This is Under the Scope, where good tea and reads are welcome. See you next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
You are tuned in to that praisey station, Praise.fm, where we get our praise on.